They had no idea who they were dealing with when they tried to play you. When the narcissist believed they could twist your mind, dim your spirit, and control your emotions, they truly thought their games were flawless. They assumed you would remain confused, loyal, trapped in the web they meticulously spun with charm, manipulation, and false promises. They believed your empathy, your trust, and your capacity to forgive would blind you to the truth. But every lie they told, every time they gaslit you, every attempt to rewrite your reality only revealed their own emptiness. They never realized that trying to break someone genuine exposes themselves more than anyone else. At first, they felt unstoppable. They thought the world was theirs to command, that you were simply another player in the narrative they controlled. They believed they had won because you questioned yourself, because you remained silent when they needed your voice, because you tried to repair what they intentionally destroyed. But what narcissists fail to grasp is this: when you manipulate a soul that gives deeply and loves freely, you don't weaken them, you reveal your own fragility. Their supposed victories were never victories at all. Every act of cruelty, every calculated manipulation left them more hollow, more dependent on illusions they could never sustain. You survived their cycles. You endured the confusion and chaos they deliberately created. You navigated the emotional storms, the gaslighting, the constant push and pull, and emerged whole. Yet they remained trapped in the same patterns, endlessly chasing someone else to drain, someone else to fuel the ego that could never be satisfied. They assumed you would remain down, that your patience was weakness, that your kindness was blind devotion. But hope is not blindness, strength is not silence, and love that is pure cannot be captured or owned. You were never theirs to control. You were always a force beyond their grasp. And now they watch. They see you rising, not with bitterness or revenge, but with clarity, with strength, with a peace that will forever elude them. They see you rebuilding, healing, transforming into someone they could never have imagined because their perception of you was always limited by their ego. Narcissists cannot comprehend depth. They only see what can be used, drained, or controlled. But now they witness the truth. You were irreplaceable, rare, deep, and genuine. They didn't just lose a person. They lost the one who gave them love, loyalty, and emotional richness that their hollow hearts will never know. The torment lies in their realization. They tried to manipulate someone extraordinary. They traded your authenticity for their fragile sense of power, your loyalty for their insecurity, your trust for temporary control. And this is their downfall. Manipulation is a one-way exchange, irreversible. Every attempt to twist your reality, every lie told, comes back to define them. They invent stories, excuses, and justifications, convincing themselves that you were too sensitive, too demanding, too misunderstanding. But lies cannot sustain forever. Reality creeps in quietly, relentlessly, and when they are alone, when the mask slips, it hits hardest because you are thriving, not despite them, but because you escaped. You rebuild deliberately, patiently, with intention. You do not seek revenge, nor do you feel the need to expose them. You do not lower yourself to their level. Life becomes the ultimate arbiter, quietly correcting the imbalance. The chaos, manipulation, and deceit they once poured into the world return to them slowly but inevitably. Their collapse begins in silence, private and unobserved at first. Narcissistic decay unfolds in subtle ways, misunderstood by them, unnoticed by others, but it is relentless. Every attempt to dominate, every attempt to control, ultimately leaves them trapped within their own emptiness, while you rise, unbroken, untouchable, and free. And this is the final truth they will never understand. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your patience for naivety, and your hope for compliance. They could not see the strength hidden within your compassion, the resilience hidden beneath your quiet endurance. While they continue their endless pursuit of validation, You are building a life anchored in authenticity, clarity, and self-respect. Their games, once feared, are now powerless. Every manipulative act they committed is a monument to their own limitations. They remain caged by their ego while you soar above it. The person they tried to break is no longer the same. They underestimated your capacity to heal, grow, and rise, and that is their ultimate loss. Relationships begin to fall apart. Trust erodes slowly, quietly, until it is gone, leaving only the residue of what once existed. People who once believed in them, who once relied on them, start to see patterns they can't ignore. Repetition becomes their undoing, a loop of manipulation that never changes, a cycle of self-interest that always comes at the expense of others. They become strangers to themselves because no meaningful life can be built on the foundation of selfishness and deceit. And maybe they smile in public. Maybe they laugh louder than anyone else, but it's hollow. Behind the bravado, behind the mask, is a recognition they cannot escape, a shadow of what they lost and the awareness that it is gone forever. They know deep down what they did. They know what was destroyed in their pursuit of control, and there is no way to rewind, no path to restore what they dismantled. That is the cruel truth of narcissistic abuse. The loss of someone truly loving, truly genuine, is permanent. But you were never destroyed, you were transformed. Every scar you carry is a testament to your resilience, a marker of clarity, a sign of awakening. You did not retaliate with spite, you elevated with grace. That rise, that unshakable ascent, is the punishment they never anticipated. You left behind their chaos, while they remained trapped inside the world they built from emptiness and illusion. Let them live in their self-made prison. Let them drown in the silence left by the departure of someone who loved them sincerely. Let them feel the vacuum that follows when the one they tried to control becomes untouchable. Their manipulation was not just a tactical mistake, it was a revelation, a mirror of their own fragility, a confirmation of who you were all along. And now, as you continue to grow, steadily, intentionally, with discipline, with peace, and with unshakable self-worth, they watch from a distance that will never close. Narcissists always assume they can return, that bridges can be rebuilt, that control can be regained, but not this time, not with you. Every attempt to manipulate you was a transaction in which they paid far more than they realized. In trying to control someone genuine, they did not just hurt you. They destroyed the last real connection they would ever have. They think the damage is a momentary blip, a single slip, a tactic easily justified. But emotional abuse is never a single act. It fractures the abuser's identity. It spreads insidiously, quietly, poisoning everything they touch. You cannot manipulate another without betraying your own self. The psyche knows, the conscience knows. Even if buried under arrogance, excuses, or fake confidence, it lingers, it festers, it waits. And in those quiet moments, when the mask slips and silence falls, reality hits hardest. They told themselves stories to avoid the truth, rationalizations that you were overreacting, too sensitive, too emotional, too loving, but these are illusions constructed to protect them from facing what they violated. The truth is inescapable. They took something sacred, something irreplaceable, and they can never reclaim it. Every narcissist pays a price steep and unrelenting for the lives they fracture. While they spent their time attempting to break you, they were dismantling themselves piece by piece. The attempt to manipulate someone who gave them real love was not victory. It was the beginning of their psychological unraveling. Life, in its quiet but absolute way, only has meaning when rooted in honesty, humility, and responsibility. Narcissists abandon all of this. They sacrifice integrity for ego, connection for control, truth for illusion, and eventually the chaos they manufacture consumes them from within. They distract themselves with noise, with attention, with shallow validation, with temporary excitement. But when night falls and silence settles, reality returns. They remember your patience, your loyalty, your genuine care, the love they were incapable of reciprocating. And then they remember their own cruelty, the words, the manipulations, the betrayals. That memory doesn't fade. It seeps into their new relationships. It poisons their connections. Deep down, they know what they were with you and what they are without you. That knowledge corrodes them relentlessly. Meanwhile, you heal, you grow, you rise. Every wound they inflicted becomes a stepping stone, a reminder of the strength, clarity, and power they could never understand. But they remain trapped, imprisoned by their own choices. Their conscience does not release them. Their destructive patterns do not allow growth. Their ego refuses evolution. Something vital, something real, something human died the day they tried to dominate you. No validation, no shallow triumph, no fleeting attention can resurrect what they destroyed. And so they wander, hollow, haunted by the very act they believed would empower them. And you, untouched by bitterness, continue ascending into the life they will never grasp, the self they will never achieve. That is the lasting cost of narcissistic abuse. It's never just about what they did to you. The deeper, more permanent toll is what they inflicted upon themselves. Every act of manipulation, every lie, every moment of emotional cruelty fractured their own character, chipped away at their own integrity, and undermined their sense of self. By teaching themselves that hurting someone kind, someone loyal, someone genuine is acceptable, they inadvertently close the door to any meaningful connection, any real intimacy, any authentic life. They might look fine in public, might smile, might even convince themselves they are victorious, but inside they are haunted by what they lost. The person they never deserved, the love they could never earn, the soul they could never truly understand. They know it, even if they try to hide it. They know what they threw away. They know they chose selfishness over care, ego over empathy, deception over truth. And no matter how they spin the story, no matter how loudly they deflect blame onto circumstances or other people, that inner voice whispers relentlessly, quietly eroding their confidence. You did this, you lost them, you will never get them back. Meanwhile, you were hurt, yes, you were wounded, but you healed. You rose with clarity, with dignity, with an inner strength they cannot fathom. And they are left standing in the ruins of their own choices, powerless to reclaim what they destroyed, unable to grasp the depth of the soul they once had in their hands. They misread you at every turn. They assumed your kindness meant weakness, your empathy meant submission, your patience meant dependence. They misunderstood your silence, mistook your composure for fragility, misjudged your grace for passivity. They believed you were too afraid to speak, too fragile to stand up, too naive to see through their manipulations. But you were never weak. Your strength existed quietly, in ways their ego could never comprehend. Strength does not always roar. True strength, forged in self-respect, clarity, and discipline, often appears calm, unshakable, almost invisible until revealed. It is not the ability to lash out. It is the ability to remain whole, centered, and composed, even in the presence of someone trained to destabilize and deceive. You gave them space, not out of ignorance, but out of hope. Hope that they might show character, that they might act with integrity, that they might prove capable of honor. And in granting that space, you revealed your power, the power of restraint, the power of observation, the power of patience paired with dignity. Your silence was not consent. Your patience was not surrender. You saw clearly, listened intently, and allowed the truth to emerge on its own. They failed, repeatedly, and yet you remained kind, composed, and untouchable, unwilling to let their toxicity harden your heart. That is the strength they could never anticipate, the quiet power that left them unarmed, vulnerable, and exposed. When you finally walked away, your silence became distance, and they did not know how to respond. Those accustomed to control, to feeding off drama, to extracting reaction, found themselves disarmed. You did not give them confrontation, nor did you give them fuel. Instead, you allowed life to do the work. The weight of their own choices became theirs alone to carry, far heavier than any argument or justification could have made it. They underestimated the force of your quiet resolve, not the silence of indifference, but the calm, decisive silence of someone who has seen the truth, accepted it, and chosen to preserve themselves. That kind of power is unshakable. It is the storm settling within you. It is the realization that dignity and self-respect matter more than proving a point or being understood by someone incapable of empathy. Anyone can shout when hurt. Anyone can demand recognition, beg for justice, or rage against injustice. But the one who is truly strong remains steady. They understand that reactions, drama, and manipulation are weapons of the weak. You saw the truth. You acknowledged it, you protected your heart, and in that quiet, unwavering strength, you became untouchable. Meanwhile, they are left alone with the echo of what they cannot reclaim, the love they could never earn, the connection they could never sustain, and the person they thought they controlled, but who now stands free, whole, and unbroken. Anyone can lash out in anger. Anyone can scream, retaliate, or demand attention when wronged. But it takes an entirely different kind of strength to feel everything. The betrayal, the gaslighting, the manipulation, and still refuse to become bitter. That was your choice. To rise, not rage. To be better, not broken. They thought your quiet meant emptiness. Your patience meant fear. Your grace meant weakness. But in that silence, you were quietly rebuilding, reflecting, processing, and growing. Beneath the composure was a resolve they could never measure, a power they could never anticipate. You weren't stuck or powerless, you were preparing. You were letting their chaos reveal itself while you outgrew their influence, silently becoming unstoppable. And it did. Now they see it. They see you thriving, smiling without their validation, living fully without their presence, and it unsettles them. The version of you they believed they could manipulate no longer exists. You stopped justifying your worth. You stopped waiting for recognition from someone who could never see. You outgrew their cage and, in doing so, left them to face the consequences of their own choices. Not because you punished them, but because life does. Life exposes narcissists. Life balances what they assumed they could take for granted. And in this reckoning, they feel the ache of what they threw away. The rare, irreplaceable presence they could never control or understand. They thought you were fragile. They thought you were replaceable. But the truth revealed itself quietly, powerfully. You were unbreakable, irreplaceable, the strongest force in their lives. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't chase them or try to explain your value, your silence, your distance, your grace. All of it spoke louder than any confrontation could. You never wasted energy proving yourself to someone who never deserved it. And now, finally, they see the truth. They can't undo what they lost. They can't reclaim what they destroyed. And they will never again encounter the depth, loyalty, and integrity that you embodied. Your life became a mirror of authenticity, one they can only watch from afar. You showed up with your heart open, offering honesty when it was inconvenient, patience when it was undeserved, and loyalty without conditions. You gave your best self, and they took it for granted. But this isn't a superficial loss. They lost a soul. When a narcissist discards someone who stayed through their worst moments, someone who offered unwavering loyalty and care, that loss imprints on them forever. It becomes a shadow, a quiet voice whispering in moments of loneliness, "I let the best go." At the time, they convinced themselves they were choosing convenience or excitement, but nothing compares. Every new connection feels fragile. Every distraction is hollow. Every attempt to recreate what they had with you fails because authenticity cannot be replicated. They search for your qualities in others. They chase echoes of what they destroyed. Maybe they pretend they've moved on, but comparisons linger. Deep down, they realize nothing can replace what they lost. You didn't just offer love, you offered depth, stability, understanding, patience, and space for their chaos. You carried their pain without judgment. You believed in them when they couldn't believe in themselves, and they treated that devotion as disposable. That is the cruelty of narcissists. They cannot value what they have until it's gone. Now they are haunted not only by what they did, but by what they will never have again. The tragedy is they didn't recognize it until it was too late. The cost of crossing someone with integrity doesn't manifest immediately. It reveals itself in years of quiet reflection, in the emptiness, in the gnawing awareness that they burned a bridge to something irreplaceable, and that is the lasting weight of their choices. They live with it every day, while you, having faced the storm and healed, carry nothing but clarity, strength, and the unshakable knowledge of your own worth. You rose while they remained behind, trapped in the very patterns they created, and that is the ultimate victory, silent, dignified, and complete. They remember your laugh. They remember your words. They remember the comfort of knowing someone had their back no matter what. And now they sit in silence, fully aware that they destroyed the very thing they claim to value. Loyalty like yours doesn't come with conditions, and that is what made it powerful, enduring, and rare. But at the time, they were blind. Their ego, their immaturity, their short-sightedness prevented them from seeing it. And now they pay the price, every single day. Every failed connection, every shallow distraction, every attempt to reclaim validation from elsewhere reminds them of what they lost. You didn't have to punish them. Life did. And life has a brutal way of teaching lessons that narcissists refuse to learn until it is too late. The moment they betrayed you, they severed themselves from the one person who saw the best in them, even at their worst. No apology, no excuse, no rewrite of history can ever repair that. You, on the other hand, carried the pain, yes, but you also carried your integrity. You walked away not with vengeance, but with dignity. And that is the one truth they can never escape. They may remember what they had, but more importantly, they now understand what they will never have again, a connection built on safety, honesty, and unwavering loyalty. That kind of bond is rare, precious, and once lost cannot be replaced. Now they are left with a void. They search endlessly for echoes of what they destroyed, chasing people who will never measure up. They hope for fragments of the love, patience, and understanding you freely offered, but all they find is absence. They let go of something sacred, discarded something beautiful, and in doing so sentence themselves to a life where your absence speaks louder than any presence they attempt to fill it with. Your departure wasn't their punishment. You were never vindictive, but life, in its quiet justice, ensured they would feel the weight of what they destroyed. Every hollow interaction, every shallow connection is a reminder of what they could not hold. You, however, could have crumbled. No one would have blamed you. The betrayal was severe, the pain deep, the manipulation relentless. Yet you did not succumb. You healed. You rose. You thrived, and that is the final, undeniable truth they cannot escape. They thought they could control you, manipulate you, or silence your power. They were wrong. True strength is not loud. It does not need drama or displays of force. True strength is grace, the ability to endure, the courage to walk away, and the wisdom to protect your heart. You were never broken by their games. You were refined. Every step you take now, every achievement, every peaceful moment reflects what they lost and can never reclaim. Your life, grounded in authenticity, clarity, and freedom, is a living testament to your resilience. They live with absence, emptiness, and a gnawing awareness of what they destroyed. You live with freedom, dignity, and the knowledge that you were unshakable, even when they tried to shake you. You survived, you healed, you thrived, and they will never again encounter someone who could endure what you did, forgive what you forgave, and still rise with such power and grace. That is the lasting consequence of their choices and the unspoken triumph of yours. Narcissistic abuse leaves marks that go far beyond the immediate pain. It's not only about the manipulation, the lies, or the gaslighting that you endured. It's about how it exposes the abuser's own emptiness. When someone tries to control, belittle, or break a genuinely loving soul, they reveal their own limitations. They reveal that they can only survive by taking, by draining, by using others as mirrors for their fragile ego. They cannot comprehend empathy, integrity, or selfless care because those things exist outside their world of illusions. Every act of cruelty, every attempt to dominate slowly dismantles their own character, leaving them hollow while you, in contrast, rise stronger, wiser, and unbroken. The irony of narcissistic abuse is that the abuser thinks they are winning when, in reality, they are losing the most valuable things in life without even realizing it. They see temporary control, fleeting compliance, or a momentary display of obedience as proof of power, but the depth of connection, trust, and loyalty they discard is irreplaceable. They believe that patience and kindness are weaknesses, that forgiveness is an invitation to continue hurting, and that love without conditions is something ordinary. They cannot measure the strength required to endure betrayal, remain composed, and rise above manipulation. That strength is invisible to them because it is rooted in character, clarity, and self-respect, qualities they abandoned long ago. Healing from narcissistic abuse is not just surviving. It is reclaiming the life and self they tried to take from you. It is the slow process of recognizing your worth, rebuilding boundaries, and learning to trust your own judgment again. Every step you take in that direction highlights the contrast between your resilience and their stagnation. They continue to chase illusions, repeating patterns that never serve them, seeking validation they will never truly earn. Meanwhile, you build a life that is anchored in reality, in depth, and in authenticity. You carry scars, but those scars are badges of survival and evidence of growth. The pain was temporary, the lessons permanent, and the transformation undeniable. What makes narcissistic abuse so insidious is how subtle it often feels while it is happening. It comes disguised as charm, attention, or love, slowly eroding your confidence and creating confusion. You begin to question your perception, your worth, your reality. The abuser relies on this to maintain control, to create dependency, to make you believe that without them, you cannot function. Yet the very act of enduring and eventually seeing through the facade reveals a truth they can never understand. Power taken through manipulation is temporary, but strength cultivated through authenticity is permanent. The more they tried to distort your reality, the clearer you became, the stronger you grew, and the more they exposed themselves. Ultimately, narcissistic abuse is a story of two trajectories. One path leads to stagnation, emptiness, and a life consumed by ego, defensiveness, and the constant need to control. The other path leads to freedom, self-knowledge, and a life anchored in truth, compassion, and resilience. You may have entered the storm unaware, feeling trapped or powerless, but each moment you endured, reflected, and chose clarity instead of reaction became a stepping stone toward liberation. In the end, the abuser remains trapped in their patterns, haunted by the absence of what they discarded, while you rise, thriving in ways they cannot imitate or reclaim. That is the lasting reality of crossing someone who embodies integrity, empathy, and self-respect. The ultimate truth is simple but profound. You survived what they thought would destroy you. You endured betrayal, manipulation, and deceit, yet you emerged whole, stronger, and unshakable. They believed they could control you, bend you, or diminish your spirit, but all they did was reveal themselves, their emptiness, their fragility, and their inability to see what was right in front of them. Meanwhile, you rebuilt, healed, and rose with dignity, patience, and clarity. Every step you take, every moment of peace, every success you achieve is a testament to the strength they could never understand or replicate. They lost someone irreplaceable. You gained yourself. You are free, authentic, and powerful. And that is a victory no one can ever take from you.